Charges have been filed against a homeless man accused of cutting thousands of dollars worth of Midco internet and cable lines. Timothy Windles is charged with 4 counts of tampering or damaging of public service. An engineer at Midco contacted police last Thursday saying at least 7 locations across Fargo were cut or damaged, causing significant outages to homes and businesses. Police obtained video surveillance which shows Windles using a handheld grinder to cut the cables. He is scheduled for court this afternoon.